Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Little Things podcast.
And you got the name right.
I did. I thought about it before I spoke. Sometimes I think before I speak. Not very often.
It's a good practice.
Yeah.
I should take it up.
It's something we all have to practice. Today we're talking about friendships.
Yeah.
With children.
Yes.
Not us and children, children and children.
Children and children. But really, kind of it starts with us and children.
Yeah.
As does everything.
Yeah. Probably starts with adults and how you model it for children, right?
Exactly. All of those things, the weights that we carry as parents, and even if we're not parents, people that are around young children.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about it because next week, right before this episode comes out, it will be the Day of Love.
Mm.
What do you and Michael do to celebrate Valentine's Day? Anything?
Well, we are this year.
But
We are going on Friday night to a comedian in Omaha.
Trevor and I are going tomorrow night to a comedian in Omaha.
Who are you seeing?
We're seeing, and I'm going to say his name wrong, Nate Bargatze.
Me too.
What? Like tomorrow, Friday?
Yes.
We should go together.
We should carpool.
Oh my goodness, look at, see, we should talk more,
I
Bethany.
always call him Nate Benghazi, and that's not his name.
Okay, do you know that he has a podcast?
No.
Yeah, he does.
I bet it's really funny.
It is. Well, and it's funny, but I just enjoy him.
Look at us.
Great minds.
That's our Valentine's Day.
It was Trevor's Christmas present that we were just going to go because we both enjoy him. We love comedy, but
It's hard to find.
it is like
Yeah.
where it's, I don't know, where it's not icky and
Right.
swear words and I don't know. So, and I just find his whole like demeanor, everything about him so funny.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me laugh.
I'm excited.
Well, what a small world, Bethany Warner.
That's hilarious.
You would think we never see each other.
I know. We just decided to go, though, because I'm planning this save the date night at Messiah on Saturday, and I was the childcare, and I love doing that. And then sometimes I'm like, we should actually go on a date instead of just
still
letting
date.
everybody else go on dates. So, yeah, I was like, Michael, we're doing this.
That's so fun. Okay, we'll have to chat more.
Yeah.
We could ride in the Tesla.
I'm like, you have a Tesla?
That's a story for another podcast.
What?
A whole drawn out story. But the good news, the end of that story is Trevor and I are still married.
Oh my God.
And able to celebrate Valentine's Day and go to see a comedian. Look
That's
at that. Tied in a
amazing.
bow.
Well, we'll have to talk more after we're done recording today.
I'm so glad we do a podcast so we can catch up with each other.
Right?
As we walk by each other in the halls and wink and smile.
Yeah. Well, that'll be super fun.
Yeah. Do you generally celebrate Valentine's Day?
Not like, I'm not a super romantic person.
Same.
I'm just not. I don't know. Meh.
Well, and I like gifts. I love to give gifts. Receiving gifts, I'm like, whoa. I like homemade anything. So my favorite gift I've ever gotten from Trevor was, I think our second maybe it was our first Valentine's Day together. And we had been walking through Target because that's what we did for fun because we didn't have to spend any money. It was cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd walk by, walk through the aisles and just look at things. And there was a vase that now I think, oh, this does not match my aesthetic at all. But it was like a silver vase in the shape of a heart. And I'm like, oh, I just love that. So he went and bought the vase, and then he knows not to buy me flowers unless it's something I can plant.
Mm-hmm.
And he created flowers out of copper wire. He made them himself.
Oh.
I still have it. It's been in rooms for years, and now I think it's in a box, which is probably not the best place. But it was starting to get a little worn. But my favorite gift. But
That's really cool.
However, I do love Valentine's Day, like the child version of it. I love Valentine's and the whole theme of like friendship. Friendship month, friendship, everything.
Yeah. And we're going to go after school today to Target to buy some Valentines for the little girl in our house. And I did tell Michael, like, I told him you should get me a gift this year because it's good to model, a healthy relationship and celebrate healthy relationships and marriage and all of that. So we are going to try and, if he doesn't buy me a gift, I'll buy one myself.
Okay. I'll put his name on it. I love the creativity though of children. Like I remember doing Valentine's and just like waiting. It felt like all year. Number one, to decorate your box, which I thought was super fun, but also to do those Valentines and give something to my friends. And my kids have always been really creative in things that they have given, like Trevor and I on Valentine's. Like they'll create their own. I have one like that Brady made. It's on cardboard. I have pictures of it, but it was super fun and kind of hilarious. And all the ways that our kids express their love for us really kind of highlighted their unique little personalities. So I like
So did
it.
you tell them to make you a gift, or
No.
they just did it on their own because they're nice?
Well, and I think it was one of those things that when we would do it for others, like they would see. I don't know, but my kids, they're good. They're sweet kids. They really are. They're pretty good little humans.
I like it.
Yeah. So how do we foster that friendship idea and relationships? We talk a lot about heavy things that seem like they should just be natural when you become a parent. So you're almost a year in to Mr. Daniel being with us.
Daniel has a lot of friends. Mostly first grade, second grade, third grade girls. Love him.
Well, with good reason. I thought you were going to say mostly girls.
They are mostly girls.
Who are competing to be his wife someday.
Well, there's a list. We've got
Zuby's
Zuby,
there.
we've got Rory, we've got, there's lots of options. We'll see. But Mom's his number one right now.
That's, you know what? That's appropriate. And it should stay that way for a good long while. There's so many things about parenthood that you just think will come naturally and that your children will just do, that you don't realize how much when you talk about modeling or any of those things, you just assume your kids are just going to get that. And you don't realize how much effort it takes to give your child friendship skills.
And I think it's a fear I know of mine of what if my kid's not nice?
Yeah.
Or what if he's the mean one? Or what if he gets bullied?
Yeah.
I don't know what I am more afraid of, if he gets bullied or if he is the
bully.
bully.
I remember having that talk when you were pregnant and probably maybe a little hormonal.
Oh, I was only a little hormonal when I was
barely,
pregnant,
But saying, what if he's mean? What if he's rude? All those things that we worry about our kids. Trevor and I, one of the many things we're on the same page about is when we go to conferences, we care about our children's grades. We want them to put a strong effort forth in anything that they do and work hard. But the grade is not like our biggest concern walking away from conferences. We always want to know that they're kind, helpful, and respectful to their teachers and to the peers in their class. And that's really what we praise our kids on is that aspect. And then obviously their grades, because they often reflect them working hard, or we can see areas of challenge and we talk about that. But that being a good human, that's what Trevor says all the time. We want you to be good humans. Like not perfect, because none of us are going to be perfect, but good humans.
Because really that will get you further in life than being straight A student or whatever. If you are kind and loving to people, that's what we're called to be in Christ. And also, then people will want to be around you and they'll like you. And you can be the smartest and richest person ever. But
if you don't have those social skills and if you're not kind,
I'm trying to think of the quote at the end of It's a Wonderful Life.
I still have never seen that.
Oh my God.
I whispered that because I knew that was going to be met with. Great. I think our friendship is over.
No, I mean...
And she's pulling. Oh, I thought she was going to pull the movie up on her phone right now and say, we're going to pause the podcast for
we're going to watch it.
A good couple of hours. Well, no, I feel like I'm really slacking in those areas. But.
Well, I feel like every year you have an opportunity to watch it and you choose not to. So you can make a choice Next year.
To carry on in my wayward ways, or
Yeah.
be a decent human being and watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, I'm finding it now. Remember, no man is a failure who has friends.
Oh, that is a beautiful quote.
You would like the movie. It's very heartwarming.
Well, okay. So are you somebody that makes friends easily?
You know
As
what?
an adult?
As an adult, I feel like I have good friends. I am very thankful. My whole life, I feel like God has provided me with friends, and I'm thankful for that.
I'm weird. I really am. I say that all the time, but I'm definitely an introvert, and I love people. But I'm all about close relationships too. So those people really close to me have been those close friends for a long time, and we're in relationship. Like you and I, we can have a conversation. I like to have deep conversations, and but then also have lots of friendships that are more.
So you have like a big circle, but then you have a closer
Yeah.
circle.
And I
Yeah.
think I've been that way my whole life. Like just kind of those smaller groups of friends. And I value that. And that's normal. And that's okay for my personality. We, in early childhood, we talk a lot about temperament too, and that we're all created differently, which is great. But sometimes I think even as parents, sometimes we worry, just like you were saying before Daniel was ever born. Is my child going to be the bully? Are they going to be bullied? Are they going to be liked? Are they going to have friends? And sometimes we say, he only has one or two friends, but maybe that's how he's created. Is that this is all I need is one or two friends? And I don't know.
I know I've talked to some parents too where this is more older middle school, high school kids. They have a lot of friends on the outside. You see them with a lot of people, but they're
None of those
pretty
close.
lonely.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
don't have that deep connection.
Well, and we've talked so many times about social media, and so there's so much that's put out to the world now that's not necessarily reflective of what's really happening in lives. And I think lonely is the best word for that. So friendship skills. So skills, any skill we have to practice and we have to work on and we have to implement and give tools.
But Rachel,
Yeah.
in early childhood, those kids are so sweet. You never have any friendship problems, right? They're just little angels.
Correct.
It's shocking how young these things start.
Well, honestly, you can see areas for learning or areas of challenge young. I mean, I remember our Lily, and this wasn't with a peer, but it was something that we knew, okay, this is going to be something with her temperament that we're going to have to nurture and give her tools so she can manage. She was 7 months old. And she was trying to build something she had some blocks. And of course, a 7-month-old is not very capable of building with blocks. She's sitting independently and doing this. And she tried just one little thing and it didn't go. And I was just watching her and observing, because I think that's important as you get to know your kids, and watching, and it didn't go her way. And she threw herself back on the floor and had this little mini tantrum. And I'm like, okay. Note to self, file this information away. But I think that's honestly building friendship skills in our kids. It starts with just that, with watching, getting to know our children, building a relationship with our children, with that they need that trusted adult or adults, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, whoever it is. So they feel comfortable and confident. They have their little paired person or people. And then that's the person that they're also looking to. But simple. One of the things, every time Zuvi's over, love to play with her. She just turned 1. Daniel's right about to turn 1. We have several in the church that are right about that same age. When she comes over, she plays, and she does really well playing independently. She loves to explore. But she'll also come over with me, and of course doesn't really understand those play schemes a ton. So this is a great opportunity to learn. So she'll have something, and I'll just put out my hand, a flat hand. And then when she puts it in my hand, oh, it's Gigi's turn. Thank you. And then I model whatever we're playing. And then I give it back. Oh, and it's Zuvi's turn. And it becomes a game. And we have Gigi's turn and Zuvi's turn. But exactly one of those friendship skills that we want them to use as they start finding some of those little hiccups in play is taking turns, sharing, something we can start as early as before they turn 1.
I have not done that with Daniel.
Well, you can now.
I can.
He'll love it. It'll be a game. You might get tired of it.
Yeah. We had my sister came over a couple weeks ago with her little baby, Julian, who is just a few months younger than Daniel. So I was holding Julian, this sweet little baby, and Daniel was just minding his own business, playing with his toy. And then he looked over and he's like, what?
That is my mom.
And he got so mad and did not like that at all. Like, I've never seen this side of you, Daniel, because he usually doesn't, have baby competition, really.
So let me ask you, how did you respond? What did you, because I have a guess, just because I've watched you mom so many times. I have a feeling I know how this whole thing went.
Well, first I was very amused, but I said, I can love Julian and Daniel. And I gave Julian kisses, and then I held them both. And then,
which is so awesome.
Yeah.
You just reassured him, but also didn't say, "Oh my gosh,
no,
Julian, you're out of here.
Get out of here." We played together, but I have pictures of it, and it's pretty funny because Daniel's not amused. He's like, "I do not like this, mother." But good lessons to start practicing.
Well, and I think giving our children that language, even before maybe they can fully understand what we're saying, then it becomes natural for them. And when we talk about friendship skills, it's that turn taking, sharing, problem solving, which gets in can be little problems or it can be big problems. There's more, but I don't know what they are. This is something I deal with every day. But talking, having conversations back and forth, playing with each other.
Yep.
Coming up with ideas, following rules.
So when you work with little babies, and then we work with like 3-year-olds. Yeah. When I think of 3-year-olds, I think of a lot of like, well, you're not coming to my birthday party.
Yes.
Any little control that they have, they want to hold it over.
Yeah.
Yep. This person's my best friend. You're not.
Yes.
And then the next day it's something
We're not
else.
friends anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it, I think, is power, right?
It is. Well, and what they can control.
Yeah.
Well, and really, so toddlers, they're still in that stage of development where they're not really like playing with a friend is not natural, right? They're doing side-by-side play. So maybe they're mimicking each other in their play. Maybe they're just playing 2 separate things next to each other. Totally normal. But they're starting to learn, It's usually about age 3 that they start doing some of that back and forth play, maybe even 4 for some kiddos. But yeah, okay. We're hearing the word friend because how do you refer to everybody in your child's class if they're in preschool? How are your friends? Like, did you have a good day with your friends? Oh, these are my friends. But what is a friend? And maybe I don't want you to be my friend anymore. You value that word, but yeah, then they use it as a bargaining chip, right? I get what I want, or you're not my friend anymore. And that's when, as adults, again, play dates, it should be easy, right? That's a chance for parents to get together and visit with each other and just have some adult time. No.
Nope.
This is the part of the parenting manual that we have to be so intentional when they're little about being present, giving them the words, using everything as a learning opportunity so that when they get up to 6 or 7, they can have a little bit more independence. We're still present. We can still help navigate some of those problems. But then again, when they get up to 13 and 14, we're going to be a whole lot less present, but we'll have developed some of those skills. And then when they're up to 17 and 18, we have very little presence. So we have to put in the work when we can, when they're young, and be exhausted by the end of the day from all those things that we didn't realize. Those play dates are not just for us to go and chit-chat.
But that is a good thing. I love that you just mapped it out like that because that is the truth. We have so much time right now when they are 3 and 4 and we're practicing play dates. And, hopefully you can get a good friend that you're comfortable with. Okay, I'm going to come to your house, but we might do some heavy correcting. And you can do that too because we need to help and, Yeah.
This is where their brains are growing. Birth to age 5, I can't say it often enough. I think 90% of brain growth happens during that time. Huge. So if we're giving them all these tools and making this comfortable and natural for them when they're in that stage, we're just setting them up for success and ourselves up for success. It's
Yeah.
anything worth doing is worth doing, right?
Right.
But
because there are 13-year-olds who haven't mastered those, and not that we have an expectation of mastery, but haven't had as much practice those skills, and then it's really a lot harder
Yeah,
at 13 than 3.
We always talk about the pyramid for social emotional learning, and we reference it in terms of the classroom, right? The early childhood classroom. But really, everything, we just want to have a good base and go up from there. So, and really at the top of the pyramid is like intensive intervention. We don't want to have to use any of those strategies if we don't have to. And if we build from the bottom, which like for us, that was a motorcycle that just went by. Oh, maybe we should make a friend with him. Would you ever ride on a motorcycle?
I'm
Totally,
okay not doing
rabbit
it.
hole, but
Yeah.
but and so we have effective workforce in the early childhood classroom. But if you think, okay, parents, that if you're a parent at home, if you have the knowledge, if you kind of have the understanding of where your child is developmentally, there's so many resources. Want to find good resources on the internet, but you can find things to learn. So you have that, and then we go into nurturing responsive relationships. Obviously, that's exactly what you just did. I mean, Daniel, you're well bonded with Daniel. He knows you're a trusted person as his mom. And even those conversations that you have, you're nurturing and responding to his needs in a healthy way. And so we're setting our kids up for success going up that pyramid too, is giving them the tools. And then hopefully we hardly ever, if ever, have to use some of those little bit stronger interventions. Yeah.
So maybe you know this. Maybe this isn't even a thing.
Maybe we'll just make it up if neither one of us know. This could be fun.
I'm just wondering, like, when you think of children, because you work with a lot of ages, like, what are some really difficult years for friendship? Or is it every year?
You know, I would say this more as a mom, but also working with young children. I think there are different types of challenges as you go through. I think our work is never done as parents that support our children. And I can say that as a parent and an educator that gets exhausted. And sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like putting the work in today. And sometimes I've said, I'm just going to let this go. And I do. But on those times, I'm like, oh, that was a really good opportunity for growth and learning that I kind of stole from my child. And I can't beat myself up. We have to give ourselves grace. But I think these first years, it's challenging, right? Because they're so egocentric. And that starts to diminish a little bit. But really, our brains aren't fully developed until 25, or even I think I just saw something that said 25 to 29.
What?
I don't know if that's the new. I'm like, ooh, that's so. I don't know. We have the normal, like the I'm right, she's wrong. That's mine. I want it. You know, when they're young, but then as they get older, it becomes just a little bit. Their brains get a little smarter, you know, and a little bit more cunning. So it gets a little trickier. I think every year is.
I think going to a Lutheran school, which Messiah is a Lutheran school, presents some even things can be more hurtful because we are in class together and we're all learning about Jesus and we're all hearing that we should love each other and we should be kind. And it just seems super hypocritical
when we have a moment that we're not.
Yeah. And when someone is not to me, then I don't know. I think it can be even more.
Yeah. Well, it's just like when we think about the church, right? We know every one of us is a sinner. But when somebody does something wrong within the church, big or little, it makes it that much more heavy because this is a church. You know,
Right.
we shouldn't treat each other like this. We're all sinners, and
We are.
we know we're forgiven and we're redeemed, but the same if it's a Christian school, you think, well, the kids there shouldn't behave like children.
Right.
Because they're Christian children.
And it's true of we're all learning, especially the kids, they are learning. So they do need that correction and that guidance. We can't automatically assume because they are Christian or because they're nice,
Right.
come from a nice family, that people know how to treat each other well. And we are all sinners. That sinful nature is strong.
It's strong.
It is.
Yeah, it is. But so is even stronger than our sinful nature is God's grace and love. And we can share that with others. And
so I was
be
teaching
gracious.
it in 5th grade last night, Wednesday night, is that because we're going through Genesis and the fall, and that Genesis 6 verse 5 of the heart of man, God just saw wickedness.
Yeah.
And then, so teaching them, yes, that is our sinful nature. We are wicked. We hate God. And at the same time, we are a new creation, redeemed by Jesus' blood. Both things at the same time. That paradox.
Well, and I don't think it's ever too early to have that type of conversation with our children too. We have to obviously cater it to their age, but even somebody that's little, that if we talk so much about, we always try to phrase everything in the positive instead of stop hitting. Like, oh, our hands are for something, whatever it is, for drawing or for building with blocks. But when that happens, oh no, your hand hit your friend, but let's repair the relationship. We can say that in different ways. Let's go over and see if they're okay. How can we help? And we always even remind our little ones, you're forgiven, you're loved. That our mistakes don't define us. And it shows that then they can we're modeling that to them, and then they're able to do that to others too and forgive, which is a huge part of the repair process in any friendship.
What a wonderful thing to practice when you are
Little.
3 years old, because, we do that the rest of our life.
Well, and their memories are short. When it comes to their friend that bit them in the shoulder yesterday is their best buddy today.
Yeah. But saying sorry is so hard
It
for
is.
kids and for adults.
I was going to say, I think it gets harder as you get older.
Yes.
Yeah. And when we can, I don't know, model all those things.
Yeah.
And there's simple things that we sometimes, with all the new technology, we forget easy things that can really help us practice all those friendship skills. Something as simple as board games. Who plays? Do you guys? You guys probably have game night. Do you?
I love board games, so I make people play with me. Yes.
So
We play a lot of Uno.
Yeah, but that's
we
great.
We just got for Christmas Life, the game of Life.
That is my all-time favorite.
It's so fun.
love
They've
it.
updated it since I was a child,
See, I don't know if I'd like it then.
but I like it more.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
makes more sense.
Oh, well, so maybe it's good. Except I love the game of life.
I know, it's fun. We should play. We should play on Friday night.
We should play it
when
on the
we
way
do our
to
double
Omaha.
date.
In the Tesla.
Exactly.
I like it.
Oh my goodness.
But all those, when you think about board games, like you're doing turn taking, sharing turns, which is hard even for us as adults.
Losing is hard.
Yes, and we have to play fair. You have to rules. We're gonna follow the rules, even if they're not the game's rules. That's something in our family. There are some games that we have rules that we've all agreed on, but maybe they're not the game's actual rules
Right.
because we've modified it. But everybody's in agreement. So then we've had to compromise and but agree. That's a skill. Compromise is a huge friendship skill and hard. Again, the older you get, the harder that is.
My sweet husband before we started recording, we were talking about how he's way nicer than I am. And he lets people win at games, people being small children. I do not do that.
Sometimes I wish that we had video because the gleam in your eyes right now.
A play to win.
I was going to say, I can see the passion.
And Michael, he just lets it happen. It's a skill to lose.
It really
You have to
is.
practice.
And to win graciously.
Well, I don't know if I do that very well either. But yes, you're right. We need to practice.
Okay.
I guess.
For some families.
Sounds like something a loser would say.
I have a friend who their family before every time they would do game nights, super great at doing game nights because it's important, and she hates playing games, hates it, but they do it because they're together as a family. They know the skills that come from playing games, and they love it. It's time with just them. The kids love it. But before every single game night, they talk about the rules, their family rules of game night. And that is, okay, when we win, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves.
That's smart.
And when we lose, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves. So they've set this expectation. Their children go, so when they're a senior in high school and playing basketball, they're still remembering.
Yeah. Yes.
Remembering those skills that they learned from family game night, which is super cool.
That is way cool. I do friendship group with the third graders.
I love that about Messiah.
Yes. And I have it today, so I have to remember to leave. But the biggest problem, not biggest, but one of them is Foursquare at recess or football at recess, whatever the game is, because it is so hard to win and lose. It's hard to play by the rules. It's hard to do all those things. So this is what our lessons are in third grade, what this curriculum focuses on. Listening lobster is the first one, and that's practicing listening, obviously.
Yeah.
Not thinking about what you're going to say while the other person's talking, active listening. The next one is conversation crab. Actually, I think whatever. Conversation crab is the one I feel like I think about the most, because the little takeaway from it is it a think it or a say it?
Yes.
And I sometimes say a lot of things that should be think it. So I'm like, every time I do this lesson, I'm like, oh,
this applies to adults as well.
I need to learn this more. Mm-hmm. Yes. But a big part, what we're doing today, is that sore loser shark, good winner whale, unjealous jellyfish. How do we learn to win and lose gracefully and not throw a fit?
Yeah. And it is a skill. It's something you have to learn, and then you have to practice.
And who wants to be friends with someone who can't do it?
Yeah. Well,
Michael Werner. This is why we should not let people win.
You know what? I'm a Michael Werner. I tried that, but
that doesn't surprise me.
And so, you know what? Michael and I will play. You and Trevor can sit in the front seat. Michael and I will play, and we'll try to let the other one win. It'll be a weird competition.
Yeah, no, but
we're gonna see
game goes on forever.
Who can win at not winning?
Maybe that's why we married the people we did.
I think it is.
Because we need to balance each other out.
Exactly. We say that all the time.
When I was in 7th grade, I was a babysitter for a 5-year-old one summer. And we played a lot of Uno. And she was a child.
Yeah.
And so she would hold her cards so I could see them. And I never let her win. Yes. I won all the time.
You have to know how to just dive into your opponent's weaknesses.
Yes. I was using my resources.
Yeah.
And hopefully teaching her a life skill.
She's doing something amazing right now.
A nurse and saving people's lives, and she's a lovely person.
Because you beat her at Uno. Job well done, Bethany. I'm proud of you.
It's a good skill to learn.
I love when you were talking about friendship group and the listening and conversations. So one of the things we're doing, something called CHIME, which is Cultivating Healthy, Intentional, Mindful Educators. Mm-hmm. That's a mouthful, but it's important. I think for educators and for parents too, we have to be constantly, so we always think about being mindful or being intentionally present. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. It's really hard to focus, but on really being present with everyone you're with. But one of the things we do every single session is we do something called listening to understand. Because I know I'm very guilty about always on to the next thing. So when I'm in a conversation, I'll be thinking, oh, wow, what do I have to, how am I going to reply to this? Or instead of just fully listening to what the other person is saying. And I think that is a skill in and of itself. If we can do something and help our kiddos when they're that young really learn how to listen, not to respond, but to understand and hear what the other person is saying, boy, that just helps them later on in life. Just be more helpful humans.
Yes. Fully listening to directions, first of all,
Yeah.
like if you're being told to how to do a task. But think of the world we live in now, how it would be different if people could actually listen to each other and not just, I looked at you, I have you figured out, and
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything more.
And now let me talk about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me talk about me, or let me just judge you from afar and have,
Yeah.
or, yeah. Yeah.
Very true. See, all these skills we learn when we're little.
But you have to practice.
For sure.
One
And
of
be
the,
so intentional.
one of the games we play in friendship group, the first time we do the listening, is I just ask someone like, Rachel, tell me about your weekend. And, you know, third graders just love to talk. So they're just talking. And then I'll go to the next person and say, okay, now tell me what she did on Saturday afternoon with her friend. And the other person's like,
Oh, no.
right. Sometimes they get it, but most of the time they don't because, and just, yeah, we have to actively do this. It's not something
Well, and I
that
think,
comes naturally.
I think it's always helpful to have things brought to our attention about ourselves. Some things that are just such a part of who we are that we don't even recognize that. So something as simple as that, they think of it as a fun game, a fun activity, but really they're like, oh, you know what? I didn't hear. I really do want to know what she was doing with, but I was really focused on something else. Next time, I'm going to try to focus my attention a little bit better so I can hear. And then it becomes, again, habit. And as an adult, you become that person that's just somebody that listens. There is a parent that I met at my last program, and she's just the coolest person. I just think so highly of her. But one of the things I just admire so much is every time I would see her, I'd see her talking to other parents, to children, to other teachers, and little things that people would have said in passing, she would bring up in conversation. And she just takes the time to really get to know people. And I think, man, we don't have enough of that in our world. And I constantly think, okay, today you are going to set out to be purposefully a little bit more like Jenna and really listen. And it makes you feel good when somebody notices even just that little thing or remembers something about you. And what kind of world would we live in if everybody just did one little thing every day to make another person feel good?
I know. I sometimes am very convicted when I think of this, of just how selfish I am, because I love when people do that. And then I always feel guilty when they walk away and I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have asked him about this. Or I know they just did this. And it's true of all of us.
Yeah.
And again, that darn sinful nature is so strong. And it's just, oh, I'm only thinking about myself and what I'm doing today and what I'm doing tomorrow. And yeah.
And then we get to take that and we're like, but you know what? I maybe missed that opportunity, but I'm going to be super attentive for the next one.
Yep.
Because we can't beat ourselves up all the time.
Right. You're right. Thank you for saying that.
And you're also very good at being very attentive.
I try. Another thing we learn in friendship group is conflict resolution.
Oh, yes.
Trying to think of the character for that. I'll think of it later. I think it's a puffer fish. Whatever.
A prickly puffer fish for conflict resolution. I like it. Could be.
Problem solving puffer fish.
Perfect.
So yes.
All those peas.
Which is, again, every time I do the lesson, I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
I need to do this too. Say how you feel. We just did this in our house actually the other day.
Yeah.
Because I like to throw Michael under the bus, don't I? But he just wrote on the...
He's not here to defend himself. It's fine.
He wrote on the back of somebody's worksheet.
Uh-oh.
And she did not appreciate that. She was very upset. Like, well, when Michael comes home, you need to tell him how you feel. And then that will give him an opportunity to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the hardest step is saying how you feel.
Yes.
Or, even, and speaking up for yourself or speaking up for why you're upset. Or that's something I guess I struggle with because I would rather just be upset and stay upset and never tell you about it.
And
or
stew in it and just really enjoy that crankiness.
Where, I mean, this is a very simple example. He had no idea that would upset her if he wrote on the back of her page.
And intended no harm.
Yes, but give an opportunity to mend the relationship, like you said earlier. And I was hoping in that moment of just modeling when it's a really simple and small thing.
Yep.
Because if anything takes practice, it is that conflict resolution.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that saying what you need and how you feel, and then coming up with a solution.
And doing it when your emotions are not so high that you can't say it in a kind and respectful way. Mm-hmm. We use a curriculum for social emotional learning called Second Steps. And it goes through a whole year of weekly lessons, starting with welcoming. And there's the listening rules, but then there's the how do we learn? And what are some tools? And there's the list. We use listening rules. We focus our attention. But one of them is on assertiveness. And when you hear the word assertive, usually you think negative, right? Mm-hmm. Ooh, she's so assertive. No, it's a good positive thing. And one of those tools, one of those skills we need is we need to be able to ask for what we need and want. Mm-hmm. And we need to advocate for ourselves. And that doesn't make us a negative or there's another word, not assertive,
right?
but over the top and kind of cranky. It's really, I'm telling you, you did this, and even if you didn't mean to, it hurt my feelings. Or I was really proud of this work, and your writing on the back made me feel really bad. Being able to say that is so huge. And just like you said, if you could model it in those small things, when it's something big, and there's a conflict with a friend, then that tool is there, and that practice has been there. Super
Not
cool.
to go on a little soapbox, but I do feel like, especially for females, it's harder to do this because we are so encouraged or conditioned to be, I'm sorry, or I'll fix it. I don't want to be labeled, difficult or annoying or whatever.
Yeah. Or it's the hard thing of going to that person and saying, Bethany, when you wore that sheep sweater that I loved so much that I wish was mine, it really hurt my feelings.
Oh my gosh, I can do no right, okay? I'm sorry.
It's a terrible human. Instead of going and saying such a simple thing like that, she has the cutest sheep sweater. Every time she wears it, it's adorable.
It's fun. I like it.
I hold no grudge. But
you can borrow it.
But one of the things is it's hard. Going and doing that is a challenging thing, to have to go up and say, all right, I'm bothered by this, and saying it to your face and looking you in the eye to say that. So what do we do? Often, and again, our gender is probably more known. It's a lot easier to
text my friend about it.
Yeah, or slide over to Scott. Did you see that Bethany is wearing that great sheep
Scott
sweater?
Scott would be the worst person to gossip with, first of all.
I don't think Scott's much of a gossip.
Is he in here?
He's over here, but he's ignoring us very well.
See, that's why I would never gossip with him. He would give me no dirt, and he wouldn't.
There'd be just an eye roll.
I accidentally went to Scott for sympathy when I burnt my hand.
Did he?
He gave me 0. He gave me nothing. It was severely burnt, like
we got his attention now. Look, he's smiling.
I almost went to the hospital. I mean, if you look at it now, you can't tell that it's burnt at all.
Was this recently?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was. I poured boiling water on my hand, and it did hurt really bad. And it was right before I came to new member class, so Scott was there, and I had a little ice pack on it because it hurt really bad.
Well, you know what? That would be an opportunity for good friendship skills. We could take somebody and say, "Oh no." Bethany
I wanted.
Bethany really hurt herself. How come? Oh, Scott's coming over. Either he's going to stop the recording or he's getting on the mic.
If we want facts in this podcast, as a former science teacher,
anyone comes here for.
Thank you.
It was a sunburn she had on her hand. It was red, and there was no blistering.
Severely burned.
And I didn't let her down gently. I just said, "You're fine."
It was real. I was giving him the opportunity to say, Bethany, you are a strong woman. And this humongous burn is not going to get you down.
It's not going to take you out today.
You are amazing.
I've seen 5-year-olds handle burns better than that.
It's fine.
Thanks for having me here.
We did not invite you.
You can open here. I'm going to welcome him back anytime. We'll
Nope.
take you, Scott.
Why did we start talking about that? I don't remember.
But see, it opened up another thing because teaching our children to be caring and polite, that's part of being a friend. And when somebody gets hurt, even if it's an accident, maybe they caused the accident, maybe somebody tripped and fell. Yet another thing, when we model, oh no, I see that Scott just tripped and he looks really upset. He's crying over there. Bethany, let's go see if he needs any help. Yeah.
That's so true. That's something we talk about a lot of. You can say, I'm sorry, even when it was an accident.
Yep.
If you hurt someone, you can still say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I feel like there are so many good tools out there too for parents, because when you talk about this, if you're thinking, oh my goodness, we go to the playground for play dates every afternoon, and that's my free time where I get to visit with everybody else. And now you're telling me to help my kids. I do have to be intentional. That's overwhelming. But there's so many tools. There's something called the solution kit. I think there's some CEFL, which I'm not going to, it's social emotional learning. It's from Vanderbilt. It's a whole website.
Okay.
But it's like CSE. I don't know. I can find a link. But there's the solution kit is something so easy, and it has tons of little cards that you can laminate and have. But it reminds, take turns, share, ask to trade, all these different things. So when there's a problem, conflict resolution, when there's a problem with children that are playing, you teach them, you talk about these options, you help them practice it, but then you give them those cards. So then when they have a problem, they're like, oh, let's go get the solution kit. So then you're putting that in their hands. You're kind of unloading it from yourself because you have those skills and those tools, and you're giving it to them. So then it helps to kind of give parents a little bit more freedom too, or teachers in the classroom too, when the children, and that's ultimately what we want them to be able to do, not have to go reach for those cards, but just know, oh, okay, we have a conflict. What can we do? And one of those choices is ask an adult for help. Mm-hmm. And they need to know that too. This is beyond what I can do. I need to go ask for some assistance.
I know at Messiah in the elementary school, they do the 1, 2, 3. Are you familiar with the 1, 2, 3?
As soon as you say it, I mean, no.
It's really based off Matthew 18 of, okay, if someone is doing something bothering you, you go to the person right away. And then if they don't respond, then you bring a teacher. I'm going to say this wrong, though, because now I'm like, why is it 1, 2, 3?
Where's number 3?
And then the person's supposed to apologize. I don't know. But I know they practice that a lot. And
where there's a system. So the children know, okay.
And people say, oh, I'm trying the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Or the teachers will say, did you try the 1, 2, 3?
And so it can turn it back on them too. Your responsibility is to try to solve this problem. And yeah.
Because I think that's a thing to learn too as an adult, as a parent. When do I intervene and when do I not?
Yeah.
Because it is a good skill for them to figure it out.
Yeah.
My mom would say that a lot growing up. Would go to her, oh, Rachel's doing rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Well, figure it out.
Yeah.
Because that's important skills.
Well, and I think observation is so important. When we're watching our children, then we can see, okay, this is an opportunity that we need them to explore a little bit more. Or it's time for an intervention. I need to come in and give some words, give some tools, whatever that may be. But sometimes, just sitting back and watching and going, okay, so
what could you try next?
Yeah, this is part of my child's personality. This is something that's good for me to know. I can watch it right now. They don't need my intervention, but I need to file this away for later too. Mm-hmm. Or this is this peer's personality, especially if they're friends that play together. So you know how to foster that friendship and the play dates, and which is also really important. Mm-hmm. Parenting's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But joyful work.
And important work. Mm-hmm. What's more important?
Yeah.
Because really, these are lifelong skills that we can
only get better with age.
Yeah. We still practice to this day. I know, I do.
Lots of practice.
Yeah. Well, good conversation.
I agree. Let's make a plan. Let's see if
We're going to keep.
for our date night on Friday
Yeah,
night.
I'm excited.
What a small world.
I know. Great minds think alike, right? Well, thank you for listening, and we're going to talk next week. We have some plans, but I don't know if we should say them because we don't know for sure.
Because they might come
to fruition.
Yeah.
So we'll just see what happens.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you.
This has been a Messiah Lutheran Ministry production. Subscribe to Messiah Lutheran on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also find our worship services and our Sermon Extra podcast by searching Messiah Lincoln on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. If you'd like to know more about Messiah Ministries, visit messiah.us. We'd love to hear from you as well, so please email us at littlethings@messiah.us.